questions. I'm going to take two questions each together. And to begin with, it'll be from Bronx Community College first, and then from Lehigh University. So these are the first two, Bronx first, two questions together to be answered by us together from our end. Over to Bronx.
And
can you
for
speak
years,
louder?
Adolescents have been oppressed by adults with the idea that we are too young to understand what's going on in the world and that we have a lot to learn from adults. What is being done to empower and give adolescents the courage to stand up for their ideas?
Second question from Bronx also.
So my question is one part suggestion and one part question. When you asked where the opportunities are for the youth to participate in the government and in political systems, my suggestion would be for internships. Living here in New York, we have a lot of internships in a lot of offices, and what I find, and I hear that it's difficult for students to take these internships and continue on with their studies and be able to support themselves. So my question would be, are you guys aware of like the internship kind of area and what is being done in that area?
Okay, thank you. We've got both the questions. Mr. Karunan.
Yeah, let me respond to the first question about how are we empowering adolescents and young people to get their voices heard and to positively participate in the development of their societies and communities. Our program is based on a number of factors. Firstly, working directly with adolescents and young people and through the youth organizations and networks that they represent at the national level, sometimes the regional level and the global level. And in that partnership, designing programs, first of all, to inform them about the rights that they have as young people. Now, a big problem is the fact that many young people are unaware of their own rights, that these rights are inherent, they are not a gift or a privilege given by adults. These are enshrined in conventions and agreements that the governments have signed at the United Nations, and in many places, like in South Africa, these rights are also reflected in their national constitutions. So that's one important part of the program, informing young people about their own rights. So there's even an NGO in the US and in Canada which is called Youth Rights, which basically informs young people about their rights on the convention. The second is programs that will enable them to develop their skills, to articulate their views among their peers. These are sometimes school-based programs where we provide fora in schools through a program called the Child-Friendly Schools for young people to participate in activities and to get their voices heard about the curriculum, about the teaching styles, about the methodologies used in the school, about extracurricular activities, and they find ways of taking those issues to school management to discuss and to make changes that are appropriate in those schools, for example. A third element of that program is creating public fora. We have in about 30 countries around the world developed what are called children or youth parliaments. These are, to me, an excellent opportunity for young people to gain the experience of being involved in politics. These student or youth parliaments are held once a year. They bring together young people from various schools and from youth organizations in the country, and they choose a topic or a series of topics around which they have a debate and agree on a set of recommendations that are then presented to parliamentarians and to government agencies. So that is also a formal program of developing these youth parliaments and using them as platforms or fora to enhance the skills and the abilities of young people to voice their views about what happens in society and what solutions that young people can suggest to be acted upon. So those are some examples of how UNICEF is, through our country programs, enhancing the capacities of young people. We're also doing that at the global level. We have organized, for example, side by side with the G8 summits, we've organized what is called the J8, the Junior 8 Summit. You'll find that on our website, where we've every year, except the last one in Canada, every year at the G8 Summit, we brought young people from different parts of the world, particularly the developing countries, to have a face-to-face dialogue with the G8 leaders to present their issues that affect young people around the world, and to have a dialogue with the G8 leaders about how the G8 leaders can better address the needs and problems of young people. So a number of examples like that that UNICEF has supported. Internships,
but
yes.
Before you go into internships, the problem of internships is that the United Nations system requires students to be postgraduate. They must be inscribed in an MA class before they can get an internship. But that is too restrictive. The question has been asked by a community center. What happens to students who are younger than that, who are productive and who can contribute a lot and learn a lot, but somehow they're not allowed to enter the UN system? Why not?
Yeah. I think in a way the opportunities for young people to participate or to gain some experience of working with international organizations is quite limited, largely because of the way that these organizations are set up, including the United Nations. The way these organizations are set up do not allow for young people to have an exposure and to gain the experience needed so that they may want to develop the careers in the UN system. What we need to look at, like in UNICEF, we have an internship program. We have hundreds and thousands of young people who apply for these internship programs. At the end of the day, in a year, we would get probably about 30 of these young people who would be given an opportunity to be in an internship with UNICEF, either in headquarters or in a regional office, for a period of 3 to 6 months, sometimes a year, maximum. Now, 30 out of thousands is very, very limited. And the way the system works is that the design of these programs are such that they do not allow for more involvement of young people, at the same time giving them the experience that is most important is not just to work at an institution or a headquarter or a regional office. The most important exposure that young people need is to what is happening on the ground. And I think we need to find ways of opening our country programs and national programs and local programs and projects that we implement to young people so that they can have the experience of hands-on work at a local, national level in their country or in another country and gain that solid experience of programming on the ground. And that is something that I've tried to emphasize in the work that we've done so that young people really can have the opportunity of working at the grassroots level first before they look at working at other levels within the organization.
That was the whole idea of the Peace Corps. And if a country like the United States could do that, why can't the UN put people out in the field?
I agree. We need a type of Peace Corps approach in the UN system, specifically targeting young people. Now, we know many universities, for example, have developed these exchanges across regions, across cultures, and across boundaries. And I think we need to learn from that experience, where young people, for example, can do an internship in an area of work that they're interested, in a country that they're interested, and those opportunities are provided to them and create some attraction for young people to gain that experience, to better develop their abilities and the competencies to develop a career within the UN system. So a Peace Corps approach is very much needed within the UN system to better reach out to young people.
Okay, I'm going to move to Lehigh for 2 questions. And while doing so, I would like to render tribute to Lehigh for the enormous work that they are doing with us at the United Nations in the preparations for the academic impact, along with Fairleigh Dickinson, for its launch in the second half of November this year. over to Lehigh for 2 questions from that end.
Good morning, Dr.